And for further analysis on the escalating tensions, we're joined from Beirut by Mr. Saeed Elkozah, military and strategic expert. Mr. Elkozah, welcome to Qnews. First, now, what are the most notable international reactions to the recent events that have been taking place?
Hello, sir. What Israel have done goes in line with what the US have requested from them. They did so in line with the US telling them not to target or damage the Iranian nuclear program, and to avoid hitting oil facilities and to have a limited reaction in order not to have an all-out war. Because any war which has Iran as part of it will necessarily have the US joining in and defending Israel. Of course, everybody condemns the Israeli airstrikes. However, there is someone who gave Israel, the US have given Israel the right to defend itself and to carry out airstrikes. And Israel, on the other hand, have targeted ballistic missiles and the sites of its air defenses, and didn't target any civilian or economic sites. There is a group of countries who side with Israel and consider Iran as a member of the axis of evil, and there are countries who support Iran, and there are a few, and claim that Iran have successfully defended itself, and what Israel have done is attacking the sovereignty of Iran. To each their own opinion, of course.
And so what are the next steps? What is the expected response from the parties involved in the current conflict? You've mentioned allies for Israel, allies with Iran. Are we expecting another step or a reaction from Iran? Further steps from Israel or their allies or the Iranians' allies?
Both sides, Israelis and Iranians, have shown or have claimed that they have won this round of war. The Israelis said that they have claimed that they have targeted the Iranian missile factories, and at the same time the Iranians also said that they have targeted the Israelis' jets and have defended their lands and countered the Israelis' projectiles, and that the enemy, which Israel couldn't achieve their targets successfully in Iran. So both countries have claimed a victory in this. Israel says it's a huge strike. Iran tried to save face and say it didn't. And this is within the American scenario, where the Americans have intervened between both parties in order to have a calculated response that guarantees no escalations would take place afterwards, and that as it has been said several times today, it's just a staged event between the US, between Israel and Iran.
Mr. Elkozah, now, what are the options available to the conflicting parties, and how might the international pressure influence those options?
There won't be any reaction from Iran, and this is what I think, uh, and that will be it. There will be more negotiations, which already are taking place in Oman and in other countries. The American under the American Secretary of State and Iranian Foreign Minister, they both made some moves in order to exert diplomatic efforts to that satisfy both sides. As for the front in Lebanon, the war still continues. Also, the war still continues in Gaza. Gaza has been completely destroyed, and the fighting may not continue there because there are no more fighters on the ground to combat or resist the Israeli, the IDF. For Lebanon, there is an organized destruction of the Lebanese villages and towns, especially on Al-Baqa side, and they are targeting Hezbollah. The fighting in Lebanon won't be easy. The war might continue for a longer period of time until a satisfactory result is reached for both sides. We don't know for how long the war will linger in Lebanon. There are massacres that being done in the southern areas of Lebanon, because most of the villages in the southern of Lebanon and South Lebanon have been destroyed. And because the Israeli forces have detonated mines in all the residential buildings, and this caused something like an earthquake.
Mm-hmm. Sir, now you've mentioned that the United States played a role in the calculated Israeli strikes on Iran. Now, what further steps that the United States can take to address the current situation?
From the very first day of the war, the United States has been pushing and pressuring Israel in order not to take this war to all-front war or to all-out war. The U.S. have sent today some F-16 planes to its some of its bases in the Middle East, as well as B-2 bombers in order to defend Israel. It's a message to Iran in order to deter Iran from taking this any further, and to discourage Iran from taking any serious reaction. What is left for the American administration is 10 days. What would they be able to do? Well, possibly pressure both sides in order to de-escalate the situation between the Israelis and the Iranians.
Well, other than the U.S., I mean, are the U.S. efforts considered sufficient to prevent the escalation? Do we need more influence or more pressure being applied from the Iranian side by their allies or any intermediaries between both conflicting sides?
During the strike, it appeared to what seems to be a positive role played by the Russians. The Russians might play a positive role in de-escalating the situation. in order to avoid having a direct confrontation between the Israelis and the Iranians. And that might prompt the United States to take part in this confrontation. In the coming period, the US actions, what they will do is try to de-escalate the situation and diffuse the situation. The Russians have been playing a role from a very long time in order not to have any sort of escalation in the Middle East and try to play an intermediary role, because they are already busy on the Ukrainian front and they don't want to get involved more than this in the Middle East, knowing that Iran is an ally to Russia and Russia might feel that they have to support Iran and they don't want to do this.
From Beirut, Mr. Saeed Elkozah, the military and strategic expert, thank you very much, sir, for joining us.